Flexible Thoughts, today is Sunday with Kelly Pajek. Wait, is it Pajek or Paycheck?
Pajek.
Oh, say that again?
Pajek?
All these years, I still don't even know how to say her name.
It's okay.
So some of you may have seen the email, in which case I introduced Kelly, but she truly has one of the coolest jobs of anyone I know. She commissions public art for the city of New York through the Percent for Art Foundation, or program. And in fact, I know I'm not the only person who thinks this, because someone said it to me last night. So there, you really do have the coolest job of anyone.
It's nice to hear.
So now we're going to move on to Kelly's favorites, and which we've already seen 3 pieces from the Millennium Park, and and then there were 2 videos, but unfortunately they didn't work on the iPad. So I'm just going to go straight into asking you my 2 questions.
Okay.
Okay. Who's the artist that has made the biggest impression on you for how you do your job?
That's a very good question.
I was proud when I came up with it.
I need to think about that a moment. This might seem obvious, but I think Vito Acconci has probably been incredibly influential in the regard that his early work was so performative, and that he has really come to work with a studio of people that help him realize very complex ideas that I think work very well in public space, but also challenge the idea of what can be done in a public space, and it doesn't blend in, and it's something that sometimes I think can be very in your face. It sort of forces you to interact with it, but I think it's in a very good way, and I think almost it's a necessity for a lot of the public work going on today, because some of it is very weak. So I would Vito Acconci.
Okay. And if you could see any singular piece of public art anywhere on the planet, where would you be heading?
I would really love to see the Moscow subway, because the mosaic work is supposed to be so beautiful. I just heard it's the most intricate, gorgeous, beautiful subway system that probably exists, and just the type of artisans that worked on it. And I've never seen it, and I would love to. So,
Definitely didn't expect that answer. How did you get into curating public art, and what did you do before?
I have a background in photography, which is what I was doing before, and I dare say I was working in retail as well, just to go through school and grad school. And I ended up looking into doing a conservation project with the MTA Arts for Transit program while I was in grad school. They were looking for people to work on a terracotta project, and by the time I got my information to them, they'd already filled all the spaces, but took me on as an intern, and the internship ended up turning into a job, and I stayed there I think 7 or 8 years, which I loved. So that was my first connection into public art, and I think I kind of fell into it because I really thought I would end up working in a museum maybe, or curating, and this is definitely a type of curating, but I like the accessibility of it. So it was, yeah, through my internship.
I'm interested in what is the cost of a lot of these things? For example, and the I don't know what you do now versus the MTA, but like what is the general budget for something like that, and how much does the artist get paid? Like what is it? Is it a standard percentage, or?
I was going to say, that question is too complex for me to even try to repeat it, so go for it.
For the public art projects that I did at the subway and what I'm doing now, which is basically commissioning work for city agencies, so in New York City, the project budgets range anywhere from, like right now, we will do a minimum of $50,000, and it can go anywhere up from there. The way the percent for art law reads is that it can go up to $400,000, and that's at the discretion of the agency. However, we usually will always encourage agencies to go higher if the 1% of their capital project is higher. And interestingly enough, those numbers were written into our law, which was done in the 80s and modified again in the 90s. So now those numbers actually, like 400,000 in inflationary terms, is probably more like 800 or 900,000. And with the cost of doing permanent work, the cost and materials go hand in hand. So we've just found that 50,000 is about the minimum you can work with to create something permanent. And by permanent in city, the terms of a lifetime of a building is like 60 to 80 years. And we have sort of a breakdown of how the budget works, but most public art programs will give an artist, or should be giving an artist, at least 20% of that. So if you have a $100,000 project, an artist's fee will be $20,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but some of these projects, will take anywhere from, at a minimum 2 years. I've inherited projects in the current program I'm at that have been going on 8 to 10 years already. So over the course of a lifetime, that's really not a lot for an artist, but an artist fee should be at least 15 to 20% of a permanent budget.
So the artists take a bath essentially in doing the work, but they get public recognition in a broader sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think, artists do take a hit in these projects a lot. So that's where having contingency is really important.
Are you the person that would come up with the original concept, or is it the artist that comes up with it, or is it your clients that come up with it? And if you have come up with an original concept, did you show us one today, or could you tell us?
For the work I'm doing now, I will work really closely with whoever the city agency is who is doing the project, and talk with them about what they maybe would like to see, or what are the most public areas of the building to do artwork within. And then what we'll do is work with the architects and make sure that we have kind of a list and number of areas that an artist can work in and still feel creative. Usually the artist is the person who comes up with the conceptual idea. We don't dictate what that is. Sometimes there might be a community involved that says they have an interest in a certain topic, which we will offer to the artist, but we'll never say that they're limited to that particular idea. And the idea of site specificity is also something that it's up to the artist to consider what is that? Is that an abstract concept, or is it something that's a completely literal? The only thing that the subway station at 81st Street is one where I actually had the opportunity to come up with what the creative idea was with a team of people. But the one thing that I really like doing now is, while the artist comes up with the creative idea, is being able to help them realize, by taking their idea, how can they do it in a permanent medium, which is usually the hardest part for an artist if they don't work in this way. So.
That makes sense. I recently met someone who's a fabricator, and they were talking about the gates to the Brooklyn Botanical Garden, and how an artist's rendition was one thing, and they were like, "You don't understand. It's not going to work." And the artist was like, "But it should work." And he's like, "Not going to work." And now the finished product is actually a collaboration in some ways. It's the artist's name. The fabricator gets no credit, but that there's a aspect to the look of the work that was completely because of the fabricator. And I would imagine it's very similar for you, and telling people you could use aluminum foil, but it's probably not going to last, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's helping them think through, how can your work still look like your work, but exist for this really long time frame, and not lose its integrity.
Well, thank you, Kelly. That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was excellent. And thank you